What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Pat.
This is the show about manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and the mentality it takes to be successful at those things. And we'll probably sprinkle in some helpful real estate advice too, because that's what Pat and I do. You know, guys, life can be tough. We can go through some things and struggle at times, but this is the show to let you know that you're not alone. So if you're someone out there going through any of these things, this is the show for you. Shout out to our friends at NeuroGum for keeping us energized and focused throughout our shows. NeuroGum is a chewing gum with caffeine, B vitamins 6, 12, and L-theanine. Helps with memory recall, focus, and energy. I like to chew it whenever I'm, during podcasts, while I'm doing CrossFit, or I'm just driving around showing houses or doing jiu-jitsu. I like it all the time, so I use it a lot. Usually, I like using it in the afternoons before, instead of reaching for another coffee or energy drink, I just grab a piece of NeuroGum, usually pretty good to go. So get out there, try some NeuroGum.
And I just learned that it'll clear up your sinuses because I just popped like 3 of them in my mouth at a time, and now I'm breathing clean. So it also helps with that. Throw that out there. But anyway, also shout out to our people over at Fit Flavors. Now for a couple more weeks, we got the promo code podcast50. So go online, buy an online gift card with Fit Flavors, and use the promo code podcast50. Get 50% off. I went on, got a $1,000 gift card for $500. Literally, it lasted me for 2 months, and I eat there 3 times a day. It's great for people that are on the go that want to make sure they're eating healthy, tracking their meals, and being able to stay on top of that. It's perfect. It's got everything. Their quality control is awesome. They stay on top of it, and everything is the exact same. So, when you're looking at your macro count on there, that is exactly what you're getting. And so it's perfect for those on-the-go professionals or anybody that's looking to eat healthy while constantly being on the go. Pop it in the microwave for 1:30, and you have yourself a delicious meal. New menu drops June 3rd.
Yeah, I'm excited to try it. So,
me too.
Now we're going to introduce our awesome guest today. He is a father, a military veteran, the owner of Evolve Properties, the great and powerful Wyatt Hayes.
Right on,
Welcome, sir.
Right on.
What's up, dude?
Hey, good to see you, man.
Well, welcome.
Glad to be here.
Well, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So, where do I start? For my adult life, I guess I was in the military. I was a builder in the Seabees, which is
the Navy,
construction unit of the Navy. Yep. So, doing majorly, contingency construction for different sort of humanitarian efforts and things like that. It was definitely a good learning experience, but I've been out now for 4 years, worked for a guy doing fix and flips for a little bit. And, he, worked just kind of doing the labor, learning the things like that. And then, started being a project manager for a company, been doing that for the last few years. And for the last, 6 months, they kind of taught me how to fish, right? It kind of took me out, showed me the ropes, showed me how the business side of the things go. And, I got my first deal about 5 months ago, flipped that thing around pretty quick, got it sold. And then, on this deal that you're selling for me, got that deal that one's about to close on the 30th. So, and then, just rolling.
What's
along.
funny about that is, so, you and I met, we didn't really know each other super well. You found me through Instagram, which is the power of social media, which I preach on here all the time. If you're someone in the getting started out in the real estate industry, like I would advise, getting started with that social media and really start building that, because it takes some time. I mean, I've been doing it for 5 years, and look, I'm finally starting to get business from it. And I'm not saying that just because you're, business, but that's how you and I came across each other. And I went over to this house right before Wyatt started flipping it. It looks like I think it was just a couple days after you purchased it. And you're like, yeah, it'll be ready in like 3 weeks. And I'm like looking around, I'm like, okay, buddy, but then sure as hell, dude, he calls me 3 weeks later and is like, hey man, we're pretty much done. Just need to do a couple more things and we're gonna be ready to roll. And I was like, oh shit, this guy means business. Especially like I've been doing this long enough that I've seen people, a lot of times they overestimate what they can get done in a time. I look around, I'm like, okay, well, this is like a lot to do in 3 weeks, but hey, if you can do it, great. But if not, obviously it'll just be down the road. But I was super impressed by like how fast you turned that property around, and like, and it turned out great.
That, man. I'm just balls to the walls, man. Like if you get the project and then your money's solely determined on your effort, it just makes it so much easier to just get in there and just give it hell, right? It's
Yeah.
like just getting in there and just getting after it. And then luckily I had my buddy from the military. He came and helped out for a week. So, he's in California. Like I was telling you guys, he's got a big sort of chicken business going on in the Philippines, and, he's incredible. So, great asset to have, especially just because he's on the same vibe of just grinding, right? He's just ready to just get after it.
So, you had your first deal. I helped you out with the second. I know it sounds like you got a couple more in the pipeline.
Yeah, a couple more. So, you guys know just as well as I do, it's just it's a grind, right? You finish it up, and then you got the inspection, and you got, stuff to kind of decipher. But it's, I've been saying this for like the last 3 years, man. I can see that light at the end of the tunnel, right? I can barely see it just flickering, but it's starting to get brighter and brighter, and yeah, it just feels fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. If there's one thing I've noticed in this industry, like, man, you gotta find waves of momentum, and really ride that thing. Just because, you never know. I mean, the business is always kind of going up and down. Like, there's always peaks and valleys, and it's like whenever you hit one of those peaks, man, you got to ride that wave.
Yeah.
And like try to get that thing to go as far as you can, because especially businesses. I mean, all three of us really we're on a kind of a transaction treadmill, as I like to refer to it as. It's like, we're always, we're only making money when we're closing deals, and so it's like you just got to always be looking for the next thing, which can get exhausting at times.
Yeah. No, definitely. But at the same time, like I was a little fearful, right, when I started this, and because I got 2 kids, man, I got a lot on my shoulders. So, for me to kind of jump out there and in the deep end and really start swimming, it was kind of fearful. But when you get out there and you have so much confidence in yourself, just because you've been doing it the right way, you've been shown the right way to do it, you just execute, and then it's not as scary, right? Like when you get that first one done, it's like, oh, okay, I'm getting, and then you get the next one, and then it just starts flowing, and then when word gets out that you're doing deals, now I've got everyone calling my phone, right, trying to do deals. Hey, I got this deal. Hey, I got that. Hey, you want to work together on this deal? So it just makes it a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, some advice I would give, to you and to anybody out there, really, is just like, just be mindful of like your time, and like don't spread yourself too thin.
Right.
Got to realize that you've got limitations. I mean, just because I've done that personally, where I've just like taken everything that I can, and then like all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I can't handle, like this is too much. Like I'm feeling overwhelmed, and then you're not giving the good quality work or
Right.
well, what you have, if you have a standard for your work, and and you have too much going on, that standard is gonna have, and you don't want to lower your standard, is what I'm saying. So you want to keep your standards high.
Yeah,
so.
my business partner was telling me the same thing when I got in this business. Dude he's a $100 million producer. I'm like, that's what I want to be. And he's like, Pat, but you need to make sure you're doing it and scaling it in a way that each year that you're growing with it, that you're not losing the quality of professionalism and your ability for customer service and things like that along the way, because that's what's important. Obviously, customer service isn't really for you guys. Customer service is going to be more like the actual detail of the work that you're putting into it, where ours is more service related. So the customer service aspect, being detail oriented on that side of it versus the actual detail orientation of what you're actually, like the work that you're putting in. But yeah, getting to that point is, making sure you're not growing too fast to where you're compromising what makes you. Exactly. And what separates you from those people. And then you also mentioned that light at the end of the tunnel. You never want that thing to fade.
Exactly.
It's only bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, but you never quite get to it, because once you feel like you get to it, I mean, what else do you have?
What next? Yeah.
So, it's nice to see it and see like it's drawing closer and closer, but it should always just be just out of reach.
Right.
It's that carrot,
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Chasing that carrot.
Heck yeah. So, but anyway, well, so you've done the flips. What do you got in the works currently?
Yeah. So, the flips are going to be the main bulk of the cash coming in, right? Like for what I'm trying to do, fix and flips, long-term rental, short-term rental stuff. That's kind of the next kind of thing I'm trying to step into when the cash is a little bit, thicker. But, a big part of the business, I think, is going to be working with different investors, right? Like, because everybody gets to a point where they've got so many deals and they can only handle so much fix and flips. And then when you have a massive, a massive overhead amount of money to pay for your project manager, and then you've got an internal construction group, the deals just become more and more expensive for these bigger companies that are doing them. And so that's kind of where I'm trying to partner with people, on those deals. Like they've got, these people that are sending out flyers and they've got a whole acquisitions team and they're just getting all these deals, but they can't handle the volume with getting them flipped. That's where I'm going to kind of hopefully step in and take a couple of their deals and things like that. So that's kind of the sidebar of the business, right? But yeah, I think it should work, man. Feels good, not gonna lie. Feels real good, to have a direction, right? Obviously, like I don't feel like I've crossed like any massive, barriers or anything, but at the same time, it's like just to have that direction and then just operate from that future self, right? Like spend every day operating from where you're trying to be at. It's just, it takes a lot of the pressure off, off the back. It's like, oh, I got where I'm trying to go, not like trying to figure out where it is you're trying to go,
No, what are some of the goals you have set for yourself for this year and then maybe for the next couple of years?
Yeah, so this year, I'm trying to do 3 more flips. I guess it'll be 4, but technically 3 after this one closes and stuff like that. So,
so 3 more after Swallow Lane.
Yeah, so I've got I've got 2 already prospect that are good, and I think that's a pretty light goal. Honestly, I think I might do 5 or 6, just depending on how the money flows, right? Like that's just the biggest thing. It's just, keeping that. It's very cash extensive. I mean, you guys know, right? You're spending $60,000 on a place, like, right. It's not like I got millions of dollars laying around. Like that's like, gambling a lot of my, like, that's like all my shit, that's all my cash. Right. So like, but at the same time, it's hoping for it to grow into something along those lines this year. Now for the next 3 to 5 years, I've developed, a little plan of, I'm trying to have 25 rentals, 25 or so rentals, hoping to have 1 complex, 5 units or above, and just start bringing in some of that cash that way too, just so I could, bounce it against, borrow against this and refinance the deals and put it into more deals and things like that. So, that's the long term, but obviously, I just got a lot of grinding in the meantime.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Well, so are you hoping, or those 25, are those going to be primarily single families? Is that kind of what you're targeting?
Yeah, mostly single families. I would love to, since I get the VA loan, right? Like I'm hunting right now for a 4 unit. That's so I can live in one and then rent out the other 3 for the next couple years.
We did a deal like that, and the dude walked away. He got paid $10,000. He got a check back at closing for $10,000 he got paid to buy a 4 unit.
Yeah, dude.
It was a VA guy.
Steal.
Yeah. I've got one right now it looks like a good deal, but it's off Texas Ave, right? I sent this deal to you.
Oh,
that's
right,
that 4 unit. Yeah. So that deal, he still hasn't really moved on that deal just because there's, a lot of work that needs to be done, and it's tough because they're all 1 units, so it's like, how many people are looking for
one
right
bedrooms.
It's tough, and it's not even like a solid 1 bedroom. It's like a shotgun style.
That's how a lot of those city 4 families are. I mean you can find ones that are two bedrooms, but most of the 4 families that I come across, I feel like all the ones I walk are always 1 bedrooms.
Dude,
would it be better just to convert it into a 2-story 2-bedroom?
Honestly,
like duplex
style, turn it into like a townhome on each side.
Yeah.
That might be the move. But
I was working over. And
you get higher
place.
rent that way,
right?
This guy's place, man, this thing was destroyed.
Really?
Like, you can't even just imagine, like, and there was people living in there, like, with when he bought it. Like, you can't even just imagine, like, how are you?
I've seen some shit that'll just make. I've there's been multiple times where I've gone and seen a property and people live there, and then I call Gina or my wife like right afterwards, and I'm like, honey, I am so thankful for like our life and like how you just see how some people live, and like it just makes me sad.
And especially when there's like kid stuff in there, dude. That's the worst. It's like that the kids have just been like crawling around on just like man. It just makes you feel for them, and then you just you look around in the world and you're like, well, makes sense.
Right.
We all definitely don't have the same starting point. That's for sure. There's not, there's no equality there. That's for sure. Just because, you could be born into a family with a, trust fund, or you could be born in a family where you barely have a pot to piss in.
Where your parents, like our buddies, leave you to go
Yeah.
chase drugs.
Yeah, exactly. They
18 months old and you're
and they leave you abandoned in a house for 4 days until your neighbors find you screaming because you're starving. Yeah, dude. We had a buddy of ours on the podcast, and him and his twin brother, they were, how old are they? Like
18 months, I
18
think?
months old. Both his parents were addicted to drugs, and they went out on a bender and just left the two kids in the pack and play
Dude.
for like days, and then like apparently the neighbors heard the kids screaming for
crying.
like days straight. Dude. And they like eventually like called the cops, and they broke, and they got basically put into the foster system after that. But it's just like that is very different from how I grew up. You know, like and you and I grew up.
Seriously,
we grew up in South County. And
Shout out to those two guys for doing what they
course.
for doing where they're at, doing what they're doing.
Both of those guys have incredible stories. We've only had one of them on, but we're gonna get the other one on here soon. But
Both are very successful, hardworking, just
killers, man.
killers. Yeah.
And that's a tough thing is like, we all are put in a position, not by our own choice, right? And it's hard to say this to people who've been in like a very, very rough situation, but like this is just the reality of it is that, it comes a certain point in time in your life whenever like you have to take ownership for like everything that's happened to you. Like you can't just like continually for the rest of your life put these things off on, oh, this is because of X, this is because of Y, because, at a certain point, nobody's coming to save you. So, it just, my life was pretty rough. Not like that, obviously, but, pretty rough, and, my dad was never around and stuff like that. So my mom worked like a ton. So it was just me kind of taking care of my sister. But, at the same time, it's like, I had a guy tell me this, a long time ago, and it stuck with me because it's like, dude, you can constantly blame, other things for your situation. But, we all get to a certain point in our life where it's like, on us, and it sucks, you got to take other people's shit, but like at the same time, like that's just how it is. So, it's like just grinding, just get through it. And
it's the deck of cards you're dealt, man.
Yeah.
So you deal with it or you fold, and it's like, what do you just want to sit in the corner and cry about it your whole life?
It's not going to do anything for you.
Yeah. You go out and get out there and do something about it, man. It's, that's some great advice. Where did you grow up around here?
Yeah, so I grew up in Troy. Well, in most of my life in Troy.
Okay.
Out there in Troy. So, good little town, lots of just degenerates doing degenerative
the Schaefer brothers?
Oh, yeah.
I played baseball with all those
awesome.
guys.
Yeah. No, they got a cool facility out there now.
Yep.
Yeah, it's super cool. My little brother goes there.
Okay.
He's pretty good. He's a big boy. He's those big boys on the baseball team. He's just like ready to smack a triple if he can make it. But no, yeah. So grew up out there in Troy. I spent the beginning of my life in New Orleans, though. We moved when Hurricane Katrina came and stuff like that right before.
So you moved because of Katrina?
So it not because of, but around the exact same time. Like my mom was going through some stuff. We just had a rental there. She was living in a rental. So she's from Wentzville. So we moved, literally right before. Like I think we moved in like July. Hurricane Katrina came in August. So it was like, good
timing.
Yeah, good little fate, little thing there. But yeah, man, it was a good town. There's just, it's tough growing up in these small towns, man. They just, if you see it, and as you guys grow, you guys, it's all the same around here, man. Like down the road and stuff, and you guys see it probably the same way I do. It's like, if so many people just get into this sort of conundrum, man. Like even some of my family members, they get into this sort of like living the same 6 months sort of over and over and over and over again, and not kind of thinking that like these exterior actions that all these people are doing are for them, and that's been like the biggest thing with me is just like getting out, right? Getting into different environments around different people. And you just start seeing life as like, not as sort of like small-minded, closed in as it is, to a lot of these people. So yeah, grateful for the military, man.
I was going to say, is that one of the reasons why you decided to join the military? Was kind of your way to get away?
Right, a little bit. Just kind of lost too, right? Yeah. Like I'm 18, or 17, I'm lost. Like I was going to go to Mizzou, and I'm like going there to sign my promissory note. I'm like, dude, $27,000. I'm like, I don't have $27,000, for your debt, right? For the first semester. I was like, so I just went back to the drawing board, and then I was just like, I had a message from a recruiter in my Facebook Messenger, and I was like messaging back. I'm like, yeah, man, I'd love to come in. And then I went in there and just, dude, left in like a month, like
really?
No thinking. Yeah. Like thinking back, it's like, dude, I handle my situation so much different now. You know, I think about it, but before I was like, oh yeah, sounds good. I'll go dedicate 5 years of my life to
Just
something
impulsively.
I don't know. You know?
Yeah, just young and full of piss of vinegar, just ready to rock and roll.
Anything,
Yeah.
give it to me.
Yeah. So in the military, let's talk a little bit about that. What was that like?
Pretty good time, honestly, man. So, you know, I met some really good guys, super good guys, and yeah, I'd learned a lot of cool stuff. It's you know, went on a few deployments with my construction battalion. Yeah, you know, did some pretty cool stuff. We most recently we were in, right before I got out, I was in Ukraine, right before all this crazy war stuff was happening.
Really?
But, you know, it's crazy because like when you see life, you know, from a foreshadowing sort of aspect, and then you look back on it, you're like, wow, okay, that's why we were over there, you know. But really, we just were over there building, you know, a maritime operations center for their, you know, elites of their military to meet, and then a boat maintenance facility for all of the maintenance and construction that they did on these boats and stuff like that for the Ukrainian military. And it was pretty cool because, you know, as a Seabee, you're not on a ship, so, you know, we're living in town. You know, there was 12 of us guys living in town. You know, we get to go to the restaurant, live like kings. You know,
Well, what was it like over there in Ukraine?
super, super, super cool, man. Like, I really enjoyed my time over there. Like, I even said, like, you know, when I was leaving, I was like, dude, I would retire here. You know,
Really?
you can get oceanfront property like 10 grand.
What?
Yeah, like, you know, right on the Black Sea, because we were down there in Ochakiv, which is like south of Mykolaiv, south of Odessa. It's like right on the Black Sea.
Is the Black
And
Sea the one that's super salty?
that's the Dead Sea.
Dead Sea. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this was fishy, but yeah, you know, not super salty, but yeah, it was nasty, bro. Like, just
Really?
the town, you know, that we lived in was just like, I mean, there's just no sort of, the trash system sucks, you know, the waste system, it's all probably dumped into there, and
Just like all the shit and stuff, like all the
dude,
sewage just goes into the ocean.
I'd imagine. I mean, I can't see it going anywhere else, right? Like, I'm like
Right.
wondering, like, where else? I don't see anything else here, but yeah, the people I met there were great, man, because like you're living like a local, right? So like I met like, and then obviously like we have money there because it's 30-1, so like we're eating, you know, 2 chicken breasts and some
30 to
quinoa.
1, meaning like
Dollar.
one of our dollars is 30 of theirs.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you just go over there and just live like a king, you know, like eat a whole meal and a bottle of wine for like $3. You know, it's just like, but you know, you start meeting the other people who have money because, you know, they're trying to talk to you, obviously. 'Cause
Sure.
They got money, so they're trying to associate and stuff. And so we started making friends with like the restaurant owner, and then like, you know, this guy who did renovations all over the town, you know, he started making friends with us. So then they were like having us over at their house for like barbecue and stuff. You know, it's like, it's cool because, you know, you start to connect, you know,
Right.
deeper than just like, you know, seeing somebody from another country.
They all speak English?
You know, most of these guys did just because they're all, you know, got a little money. They've been to college and
Okay.
stuff like that. So, but yeah, man, crazy time.
Yeah, that's
know.
wild, dude.
Fun times.
So how long ago was that? That was last year?
No,
Or
that
no,
was,
you've been out for 4 years.
yeah,
so
that was
that's right.
probably 5 years ago.
Okay.
5 years, 2017, 2018.
Yeah, and shit didn't start getting bad, what, until 21, 22? Just a couple years ago that
Yeah, I think
all that
22
22.
is when that started.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty wild too,
Crazy
man.
it's been that long,
Yeah.
man. Because it feels like it feels like that shit just started, like
It-
pretty
I mean,
recently.
yeah.
But it's been going for a minute over there.
Yeah.
Right.
What other places did you get to travel to?
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time in Spain.
Okay.
Spain's incredible. It's my favorite place. I was actually just there over Thanksgiving. But yeah, I spent a lot of time in Spain, and then I did a deployment like in the 5th Fleet on a ship. So we went to like all of like we pulled into Israel and Jordan and Oman and, you know, stuff like that. It kind of sucked because we were at sea for
I was going to say, what's it like being
Dude.
on a
terrible.
Really?
Oh my gosh, dude.
really?
Yeah, just like, you know, and I'm pretty easy, man. Like, I don't really like, you know, if I've got a good task and, you know, some good people to talk to, you know, it's all right, you know. But this is rough, man, because like when I was there, like I was at the time I was undesignated, so I'm an undesignated seaman just working on the ship. So I'm like working with the deck department, working with the food department, you know. So I did like
Everything?
6 months washing dishes, serving food, you know. Then I did another 6 months like working in the hazmat locker, just literally carrying 5-gallon buckets of paint just up and down, you know, just like brutal, bro.
That
But
sucks.
it you know, I'm glad I did it though, man, because these guys that I met there, like, you know, the best way I can explain deck department is like a bunch of guys who are like misfits of the military. Maybe they got in trouble before and they're just like, yeah, you can come in, but you got to be an undesignated seaman for a year, you know, and just work on the ship. So, you know, funny guys though, man, hilarious. All wrestlers. Most of these guys are just like all wrestler guys, you know,
Really?
like they're all like the rougher ones, you know, the operations guys, like the ones that watch the radar and stuff. They'll be like a little nerdier, but then like these guys are all like the
Just meatheads.
got,
Rough
like,
and tumble.
anchors on their hands, you know,
Yeah.
just like rough, you know.
Damn.
So, pretty
So are you like confined? I guess you got like a pretty small, like they've got like some sort of like dorms in these on these
yeah,
ships.
little,
that you're just
little
like
berthings, yeah,
are
little
they called?
berthings.
berthings.
So like, you know, we were in deck. I was in deck department at the time, so I'm with the deck berthing. So like, you know, there's 120 guys in this berthing.
That's just like a big room with a bunch of bunk beds or something.
A room with a hallway, and then like hallways spread off that, and then it's 3 high.
Three bunk beds
on
high?
either side. So 3, 3, 3. So, you know, 24 people like in one little aisle there. You know, gets pretty
Smelly, huh?
slammed. Yeah, man, that's
I bet.
the worst.
I bet you get a bunch of dudes.
Dude, well, just from wrestling my whole life, right? Like, I just hate smellies, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, because you wrestle with dudes your whole life, so it's like you just immediately when you start wrestling them, you smell them.
Well,
You're
there's some
you know?
dudes, and this is something I've laughed about before, but there's just like some guys that have certain smells,
Dude,
you know?
I know, bro.
You know, like there's some dudes that just smell a certain way.
Right.
And there's some dudes that, you know, that smell, you know, they smell sweaty, but they smell
It's just as a human being.
just
you
human,
know?
you know, but then there's some dudes that like, I don't know what you do after this or
Like
like
a nasty onion.
Dude,
yeah, dude.
it's bad.
And there's just some
Rough, dude.
people's that just smell worse than others, dude.
Yeah.
That was the
You know?
yeah. So I was in there, yeah. Just always worried about the smell. It's so funny you say that because that was the worst part for me.
I'm
It's
sure.
Just like,
Yeah, I mean, that's the
dude,
first thing that I
stink.
thought of is, all right, you get 24 dudes in a room. Like, you know, I have an idea of what that room smells like. You know?
Well, I'm assuming the ships are just like the ones that you can go on in San Diego, right? Like
Yeah.
same size and everything.
Pretty much. Yeah.
They're not like they look big, but that shit's tiny on the inside. Like I was having to walk through, and I was like,
especially, dude,
I
your
was like
size.
hunched over the whole time. Like
Dude, yeah.
it's tight, cramped in there. Like what would you call them?
The birthing.
Birthing. Yeah.
Birthing.
I mean, because you see them on the ship, and you're like, holy shit! Like, I mean, I would have hated that
Dude.
because
Yeah, I mean,
it's
you're a big
so
dude.
small.
I hated it.
I mean, I'm not a big dude, and I would have hated it.
Yeah.
I just, yeah, man.
Like walking through and getting stuck. My shoulders are getting stuck on the sides. Like,
Yeah, well, it's like all those little.
you just like
gotta
gotta
turn
walk
and-
sideways.
Yeah, dude. The worst part is like I was married in there. So like if you're
really?
not married, you know, if you're not married in the military, like I can see how it can be somewhat enjoyable. You know what I mean? But like when
Sure.
you're in there, man, and you got, you know, you're barely even seeing the girl, you know, as is, and then you come back into her space, right? Like it's your guys' space, but like she's been inhabiting that space for however long, and then you come back into her space, and you know, there's just like that battle of like, you know, back and forth of like, you know, who's in charge, or, you know,
Sure.
like
Well,
to a
it's-
degree, right?
Because like,
it's
how long were your deployments?
it just, you know, it depends. Like I was on one that was like, you know, about 7 months, and then I got back, and then we left right again because they had a hurricane in Haiti. So that we went down there to like help them out and stuff. So then, you know, went down there, and then right after that I got, you know, I switched the job. So I was going to the Seabees. So then I had to go to a whole school that was, you know, another 6 months. And then I got there, and then I right on deployment with them. So it's like, you know, I'm having kids in my in my little breaks, right? Just because I'm
Yeah.
like so excited to see my wife, and then now I'm having a child.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
That's got to be so
know.
hard, man. I
yeah,
can't imagine
man,
that.
it's tough, but you know, that's just, I mean, that's just the nature of the business. I mean, all these guys, bro, like all these guys are divorced, man. You know,
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like you see a lot of guys like they might be dating somebody for a short period of time, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, we're getting deployed, and they immediately go get married.
yeah, they get that money.
Yeah,
Because it's they get like
get
isn't it
they
like
get-
a thing like 1.5
Yeah.
times
You
or
get
whatever,
that
right?
that housing allowance, man. That stuff, that's nice, especially when you're, you know, making shit money, right? You get that extra $1,500 a month, man. It's like all the difference, you know. You
Yeah.
get to live off base and
So
stuff like that.
they don't give the housing allowance if you're not married.
So they will if you have
Have
been
a-
in, right?
okay.
Like let's say you make rank, you know, you make petty officer, you make third class, and then you're able to like fill out some sort of like request, right? If and that's if like the barracks are full, and you know, there's a whole deal. But they try to keep you locked up, man. They try to keep you there on the
base.
There's less trouble you can get in, man. You get hammered on the base, you can just walk home. But man, they're so concerned with DUIs and stuff in the military. It's wild.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, man, I mean, shoot, I've got some clients right now that pretty high ranked that are buying a house, and their basic housing allowance alone, like more than what they need to purchase this house. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't even care what you make. You got this much in housing allowance. Like, even with you moving from where you're moving to here, like more than enough to cover your payment. You're good to go. Let's roll. Right. Here's your pre-approval letter.
That's great. Damn.
Yeah. Like that basic house, I mean, it can get up there $3,000-$4,000 a month.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
And depending on how you file, like each of them, they each get that.
Now are they so if they're married couple, okay, wow.
Yeah, well, they both go in as single, or like how they file it as being as married but living in separate or whatever.
Yeah.
I forget how it is, but they each get a certain amount of BAH.
Yeah, man.
So, because like they were for a while there, he was in one part of the country, she was in another part of the country. They each had their own place, so they each got it. So, yeah,
cool. There's got to be something, man, with the taxes.
Right.
There's got to be a reason why it's so easy for them to get married. For everyone to get married, and then they incentivize it almost. There's got to be something on the back end, or else there's just got to be, like there's no reason why. They make every single thing in there impossible. There's the stuff that they make easy. There's got to be something,
Sure.
Like, I don't know what it is, but there's something there,
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so you got 2 kids. Let's,
Yeah.
let's
Two
talk about
kids,
this. So
two
what's
kids,
that like? How old are they?
So my son is about to be 6. My daughter's 4. They're great, man. They like I said, I was married to her in the military. We, the distance and then just a whole bunch of things transpired. So she came back and lived with her family. So,
And she's from here?
Yeah.
So
we're
were you
both
guys
from
together before you left?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were just dating before I left, high school dating, right? And then when I left and then went there, all the kids and, all the stuff starts happening, right? So
when did you guys get married? Like right before you left, or?
Yeah. So right when I got pretty much through my school, like that first phase of schooling,
Okay.
we ended up getting married. She didn't even live with me yet at the time. She was going to college at Lindenwood, so she was still finishing college and stuff like that. So, like I said, man, I got married to get that money, man, get that extra money for a year. So I did that, and definitely wish I would have thought about that a little harder. But I'm glad where we're at, right? Like, everything happens for a reason. My kids have like grown me up astronomical amounts. I'm way better of a man, because of my kids. Just you see all of your inequities and all of the things that you're trying to do, in your kids, right? Like when you're hanging out with them all the time. So like when they, like little things are coming out or they're saying stuff and, and my kids are being homeschooled by their mom, they don't go to daycare. They hang out with, their mom and their little homeschool group. So, a lot of the people and the actions that they see are from me and their mom. Right. So, and it's just so crazy, the stuff that you see come out of these kids, that's just like, dude, this is like literally your mom,
like
talking. Like, this is literally me. Like I see me,
I know.
And it just, it feels good, but it's something to really take, serious, because like we were saying at the beginning, man, like if you're not like on guard with that, man, they'll pick up some things that you don't want them to pick up, man, because we're not perfect,
No, of course.
And it's just protecting their innocence, because, it's everything to them, their innocence as they're growing up and as they're being children, it's just everything.
I'm sure we each have something funny that our kids have picked up.
Dude.
Oh yeah.
Besides cussing. So Connor started, I think I might have told you guys this, but so I chew tobacco.
Yeah.
It's a baseball thing, been doing it my whole life, just never stopped. And next thing you know, I'm at home and this little fucker's walking around with a water bottle.
Right.
I'm like, what are you doing? It's empty. He's like, Dad, watch. He starts spitting into the water bottle.
Oh no.
I can say this because I know my ex-wife doesn't watch the show. So, because if she saw that and knew this, she'd be pissed.
Right.
But just like I talked to him about adult words, they're not bad words, they're not cuss words, they're adult words. You can't use those until you're an adult. I said the same thing. I'm like, Dad, hey, what do we? They call it Daddy's yucky. That's what it is. It's Daddy's yucky.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the yucky, that's for when you're an adult. So when you're an adult, if that's what you want to do, you can do that. But don't ever do that again, especially at your mom's house. Because
at your mom's house.
That's the last thing. But yeah, that was kind of like you said, they pick up on everything. But yeah, Connor's like, I just noticed, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's just walking around. He's just like spitting into a water bottle. I'm like, oh, fuck.
What have I done?
What did I do? Shit.
Dude, it's so funny, man.
Oh, man, I'm trying to think of something that Calvin's done recently that's like, I mean, it's cuss words for sure. I mean, he just hears me cuss or hears me on the phone or, I mean, that's probably, he's definitely, that's it for sure.
My son is obsessed with just biking. Dude, he's so good, man. And like, I say this to anyone who's got young kids, man, put them on a balance bike. To jump. Really? And you will never have to do training wheels, man. My son, he was on a balance bike. I got him one when he was way too young. Like, he was like still laying in a swaddle. Yeah. And I got it for him. And then he hopped on it and then he started learning and he never had training wheels. I mean, this kid's bombing ramps.
Really?
Like, yeah, dude. He'll go up to the pump track up like on at that Highway Inn, right off Highway Inn at that skate park. Dude, be riding the pump track. Like,
that's awesome.
It's, about to turn 6, right?
That's awesome.
I was terrified to ride a bike, dude.
Yeah.
Like when I first started, I was
like
so ready to just crash.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
I was terrified.
Especially on like a Huffy with training wheels. Like he's like ripping like an REI mountain bike. So he's like, it's pretty sick. But like,
Dude, that's awesome. I saw you had your kid on a skateboard the other day.
Yeah, so he's upset. I skateboarded, a lot. I still will. Like I don't like go hang out at the skate park, but like I'll go ride, the skateboard and stuff. And he's getting good, man. It's so crazy just to see him, man. To see him. You show them how to do something, and then they just start doing it, and it's like, dude, it's so sick. Dude. Look at you, awesome. Bro. Look at you.
Yeah, I had like a little childhood regression the other day, and I went, I couldn't find my old board, so I just went and bought one, and I just been messing around with it on the driveway. Whenever I got an extra 15, 20 minutes, I just like go out there and just try to ollie and kickflip and shit, stuff I used to do as a kid, man. It's fun. Kind of takes me back, It's just something that's so difficult to do. Yeah, it's so hard, and it's terrifying too. And
I tried it when I was like that was the thing. Like I got one because of Back to the Future. Like I wanted to be Marty McFly. Like I thought he was so cool, so I went and got a skateboard, and I would try and try and try. I mean, I was a short little fat kid, or well, I shouldn't say short. I was a tall fat kid trying to ollie on a skateboard or even trying to get it, like it just wasn't for me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to pass on this one.
Oh, man, I used to like go to skate park. I mean, I was never very good, but I always just loved like being around it. And like, I love watching it. And I love like trying something for like 1,000 times and then eventually hitting it. Like that feels good. Feels so good. I was never like great. I could ollie like down like a 2 or a 3 stair. I could like kickflip. I've probably landed like 20 kickflips my whole life, and I could hit like a 50-50 or a board slide on like a short rail.
Right.
Like, so nothing crazy, but man, I would try 1,000 times. And when I finally hit it, it's like, oh, dude.
I know, right?
It was just feels so good, man.
And especially just growing up in the town I was in, man, like skateboarding was so hated, bro. Like,
really?
So
I believe
hated.
it because that's, Troy's kind of out there. It's a country town. Like,
dude.
I'm sure hunting was huge.
Yeah. So you just didn't
wait, you're skateboarding? You don't have a gun and you're not going hunting and killing things with us? Come on. What's wrong with you?
You got skinny jeans and circas on.
Yeah.
That's what, but the thing is like, I love taking on that persona. I don't know what it was. Like, I just loved being like the skater.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I did too.
It's like
felt
that,
so good.
The rebel. It's like they had a little like rebelness to them.
For sure. Right. I still like,
because everywhere you looked was like, no skateboarding.
No skateboarding, no rollerblading, no bicycles.
Y'all like, fuck you. I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Those no fear shirts. I had a bunch of those.
Yeah.
Those all fucking characters.
Don't do it sticker.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Remember those? Dude. I actually I watched
Sobe Energy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You guys ever watch the movie Grind?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude, it's on HBO. I turned it on the other night. Like literally the night that I bought that skateboard, I realized it was on HBO, and I watched like half of it before I fell asleep.
What were those Disney movies? Oh shit. They were
with the monkey?
Not the monkey, but there was I forget it was like a Suds and Bubbles or Suds and Pups versus Brink, yes. Brink. That movie,
Yeah,
yes.
Brink.
Did you ever?
No.
Oh.
That was just fucking hilarious.
Yeah, dude.
Suds and Pups, that's
Suds
right.
and Pups.
And
yeah.
What was the other one? The black and yellow.
Soul Skaters, baby.
Soul Skaters.
Soul Skaters.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, so good.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites. And then Johnny Tsunami.
Johnny
Remember that one?
Tsunami, heck yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's cool getting them into something because I just, it's tough. It's tough, man. Like the modern day, just sports and school and everything. It's just like, yeah, I want the kid to play sports and things like that. But it's just such a different world we live in, man. Like just like with just how parents are and how kids are and what they're exposed to at a young age. And it's tough. So like, when I was young, I was getting started in sports, dude, as soon as I could walk. Yeah. But now it's like, I want to give him a little bit of time to sort of develop into himself before I just like kind of throw him to the fire and stuff.
You want him to do what he wants to
do.
The
world, it's a crazy world, man. And I feel like if I just give him just a little bit more of an opportunity to, develop some sort of moral compass and standard of life that, it might work out a little better for him than it did for me.
Is that why you guys are homeschooling versus?
Yeah, and she's great, man. Like she's a great mom. She's she loves those kids, man, so much. And that's kind of the main thing is like, and she doesn't work, right? Like I'm funding their stuff, like I want my kids to be homeschooled by their mom, right? Mm-hmm. So like if that requires me to give her more money or, fund some sort of extra, that I'm not court ordered to require, like I'm good with that just because I know that the return on that is going to be great with my kids just being able to not be so tamed, right? Like from such a start. And then just like, the stuff they're going to be exposed to, like I value their innocence. Like, I don't know, I won't be able to protect it forever, but, I value them just being able to be a kid. Right. And when they get older and if they're begging us to go to school, like, I just want to go to school so bad. And it's like a massive thing, we might reconsider, and have a conversation about it. But, for now, that's kind of the way that we're going. And, she does a good job, man. She's good.
So you said is there a group? You said that they're like.
Yeah, so she's a part of a homeschooling group. So they're like a homeschool co-op. So they meet with the other kids, and the moms are all, holistic minded, nice, good ladies, got their kids, and things like that. So they're all like, it's kind of like a little woo-woo free for all.
A little granola.
Yeah, a little granola, a little woo-woo free for all. And
crystals in there.
No, not that far. They'll put like arnica cream on their cuts, but I don't think they're like praying to rocks and stuff, They'll use essential oils, but they're not like freaking saging each other. But yeah, so she goes to this group and all the kids are good, so they'll meet up at like a park and all go for like a hike and play outside, have lunch, and
it's cool because they can make friends and stuff.
Exactly.
Because like that's what
social aspect is the biggest thing.
That's what
really like what would worry me about homeschooling. It's just I just think about all of my friends that I'm still friends with to this day are friends that I made in school. So it's like.
No, and I'm the same way, but like my argument to that, and like I've thought about this too, and my argument is, well, dude, kids aren't social like they used to be. These kids, like, 90% of them aren't social like they used to be. Like, so if they are in school, they probably aren't going to be that social anyways. And like, they're probably, all these kids are just waiting to get on their iPad, when they get home. And like, they're not probably really talking of anything of substance anyways. Like, dude, when we were kids, man, there's no like phones or anything. We're just constantly getting into shit. Yeah. Like, and if that was how it was, I would be cool with that.
We were fucking around and finding out. Like that was how we lived.
Yeah,
exactly.
Driving around on our bikes,
bro,
making
age,
forts
man,
in the woods.
You cannot go into a restaurant and see some kids just sitting there enjoying their life. Like if you go, like even when I go to like my family gatherings, right? Like all the kids that are growing up, the cousins' kids and stuff like that. Dude, when we were kids, we were sitting around the grown-ups, listening to the stories, bullshitting, getting picked on,
going in the basement.
By the time you
digging around and whatever's down there.
Right. By the time you
look
get
at
annoyed,
Playboys.
Get annoyed,
right?
Yeah, right.
Sneaking a beer.
Right. By the time they get annoyed by you, they're like, "All right, go outside." But like this day and age, bro, those kids will sit quiet for 3 hours. like watching some stupid shit.
Watching someone else play video games on YouTube. That's something
I don't understand that one.
Dude, that's one of those things that I watch. I'm like, how do you guys like? And well, it's like a huge market for it
Dude,
too.
huge,
Like it's like one of the biggest things on YouTube is like watching other people play video games, which is just like one of
What's
those
it called? Twitch?
Twitch, yeah. Well, it's like its own thing,
streaming,
yeah.
dude.
Twitch is its own thing. Like I think it's, I've never even been on it, but from my understanding is it's just like you stream yourself playing video games, and then you have like a webcam on yourself, and you can like talk to your audience while you're playing, but. Just seems a little odd to me.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess
I was never a video game guy, so I mean,
Me neither. Yeah.
I didn't play video games.
I got into it. I was into it, high school a little bit. I was never like very very good. I mean, I was into it a little bit in high school, college. It was just we played.
Call of Duty. I just remember all the guys that I played baseball with in college. We get done with practice, and it was just like. Call of Duty. They had their own, like the team had their own like tag that they were a part of, and I mean it was. Yeah, that wasn't for me though. Like I'm like,
I got into it for a little bit, but man, Call of Duty especially at the time, like I picked it up like probably 5 or 6 years ago. I just downloaded it and like started playing, and then I played it for like 2 times, and I was like, dude, this is gonna take so much of my time to get good at, and like because you just like respawn and just get killed like right away, and it's just like, dude, if I wanted to get good at this, it's gonna require so many hours, and it's like I already have too many other things that I do, and like I've only got so many hours in the day, and this is just not something that I care to get good at, and
especially as an adult, man. There's
it's
so
like,
many guys that
point?
like they put all their effort into these games and they're still broke. It's like, dude, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I'd rather put my effort into something that's gonna make me more financially successful, more physically like.
Right, I get it for those like that are successful, and then like at the very end of the day, after they've gotten literally done with everything, that they go in to kind of like get their just like, hey, that's their time to get their mind off of things.
Right.
But like. How many of those guys are actually doing that? Like that's what they're using it for.
Right. Probably not very many.
No.
Well, and like those, I mean, I know about Twitch a little bit just from one of the podcasts I pay attention to. But he's a decent size like streamer on Twitch, but it's Sugar Sean O'Malley. He has kind of a good Twitch following, but and they talk about like the guys on there that are like professional video game players, and it's like these guys are playing from 12 to 8 hours a day.
Oh yeah, my neighbor, his son is a professional gamer. Well, like VR, like I don't know what game it is, but like virtual reality. But he like some game, he's like one of the top 5 rated goalies in the world.
Jeez.
And like
I don't know what the name of the game is, but it's like it's almost like a Tron style type game.
I'm not sure.
And it's I don't know.
Yeah,
but he's like for a while there, he was like ranked as like one of the top 5 goalies in this game in the world.
Which I mean is honorable, right? I mean to some respect, right?
Yeah,
like
to
it's
get
like
top
shit,
5 in the
dude,
world
like,
in anything,
right?
It's
sick,
impressive.
actually.
Yeah,
You know?
and so I mean he goes and plays but like he's playing in tournaments across the country and things like that, and like actually colleges are asking him to like almost like there's gaming like now is like NCAA going to come up with a virtual reality conference, type thing.
Dude.
But there are schools like Maryville apparently out here in Chesterfield is like got one of the best one of the best gaming schools in the country. Jeez. They've got this whole specific thing where they're nothing but gaming. But yeah, I mean. And I was just like, and every time I talk to him, he's like, yeah, Cam's in the basement playing video games, and I'm just like, well, fuck. I mean, he's making money doing these tournaments and shit. So I'm like, okay, he's actually making money. That's one thing.
That's a different thing. But
I just wonder, man, like with that, and even like the being on the computers and the phones. Like, I mean, I'm sure you guys are just as bad as me, man. Always on that thing, man. Computer, phone. Always, always something with the screen. It makes you wonder, like, we are the first sort of generation to sort of test this out. You know what I mean? So it's like, obviously, like, taking in that much information, like, the amount of information my mind takes in a day, it's like, it's not supposed to take that in.
Right.
Like, it's just boom, 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 boom.
Well, we're like, they say we're like we're kind of becoming part cyborg, I mean, dude. Like that whole, integrating with technology. I mean, we're there, man.
I know, man. We're already there. My biggest just wonder about it, and I've really been trying to, do it, and not even from like a meditation standpoint, but just from like a silencing my mind standpoint. Like every night, like, about an hour before I'm going to bed, like I'm off the phone, right? Like not scrolling, just because I'm trying to really silence my mind, man, because it's crazy how much stuff is in there, and then when you stop looking at stuff, how much it starts coming up, you know, like that.
Well, and
stuff,
it's, you know, freaks me out is when I reach for my phone, when I do it as like a reflex instead of like, hey, I need to pick up my phone. Like I just grab it without thinking about it and open it up, and I'm like, I didn't even like it. Just that didn't feel like I made that decision to go pick it up. I just felt like a, you know, like a reaction or a reflex, and like, ooh, that kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's the first. We are that first generation where we're being, you know, we're integrated with technology, and it's like, man, where is this going to go in 20, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years from now? You know, they say that there's that, you know, that Neuralink that, you know, Elon's talking about, where they're basically going to put like this quarter size like chip in your head,
right?
Which is like, man, like what happens then,
right?
Like where are we
you
at
can
then?
like talk to people with. Like without even saying anything, they can read your mind. I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I want people reading my mind. Is there going to be a silence? Like, can you put like a do not disturb on that part of it?
Yeah, I
would
would hope so.
Like,
it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of like fights in the street.
Yeah, right.
Especially when
I just wonder, man, like as far as like, you know, like our brains, like the operating system of our brain, right? Like when we're taking in all this information and looking at this screen, this blue lighted screen, you know, for 6 hours a day. You know, like at some point in time, like, does that, you know, affect us super negatively? Like, you know, brain tumor, like cancer in the mind, like obviously I'm not a doctor, but just like these sort of things. And it really makes you wonder, man, like, are the people that are overindulging in this the ones that are going to seriously be affected and infected, or is it just like, nothing's going to come of it, right? But because like there's obviously always a varying degree of how much you indulge and who indulges and how much, and you know, and things like that. So yeah, I've just been trying to be cognizant, man. It's like I was listening to this guy talk about this whole thing. He's like studied EMF radiation for like the last 30 years and like all that. I was listening to him talk, and I'm just like, holy shit, here we go.
Yeah,
you know, obviously everything's a fucking mass catastrophe in the world,
of course,
but you know, something to crazy to think.
Yeah, it's technology, man.
Oh, dude, another thing that kind of.
But I mean, that's what sucks is like our job.
Gotta have it.
Oh yeah,
we are constantly on the phone.
I mean,
like between what we're posting on social media versus what like answering replies. But then like, I mean, I'll get out of here. We'll see. Probably I have like 10 phone calls, 5 voicemails, 100 text messages and emails. Like, it's constant. And it just
it never fails. Whenever we get out of one of these podcasts, I look at my phone. I'm like, oh god, what catastrophe happened while in the last hour that I haven't been paying attention.
And just like as a high performer, you have to be on that thing.
You have to,
you know,
have
like
to.
Dude, if you like, I just pride myself in responding within the minute, right? Like I love
you are
that,
fast.
Dude. Right when I get that message, bro, I'll respond like just immediately, because I know like I really appreciate that. So like if I'm just doing that every time, you know, then whoever I'm talking to, it's like there's no gap of communicate. It's just like boom, boom, done. You know, out of the mind. You know,
yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And I love now how you can on the iPhones you can like mark as unread.
Yeah. Because I'll do that a lot.
Yeah, because like
sometimes you need a more thought out response.
Because I'll look at it and I'll be like, okay, that's going to be a little bit more than just a quick response.
Yeah. I got to explain and elaborate.
Yeah. Or it's like they're sending me a reminder, like, hey, like I'll click on it like to see what it is, and they're like, hey, when you get a chance, not any rush, can you run numbers for me on this address? And I'll like sometimes I just fucking forget. And I tell people, I'm like, hey, if you don't hear from me or have these numbers within like 3 hours after you text me or have some sort of response from me, just shoot me another, hey, just following up on this. But now I can save it, and I've got 2 or 3 of those in there from today that I got to go back and run numbers on later.
Yeah.
So, but.
No, 100%, man. It's just, I always say, man, if screen time's something you're concerned about, being in the real estate industry is not the right one.
Bro, I know, man.
It's just the world we live in right now. I mean, you know, people want answers right away, and, you know, everybody knows that this thing's pretty much connected to our bodies. So,
exactly.
You know, we're kind of,
it comes down to setting those boundaries like we talked about.
Yeah. We've talked about that quite a bit. It's like, you need to kind of put some boundaries in place with people, just because, you know, I mean, you gotta shut it off at some point. You know, like I always try to shut it off around 8:00 at night. That's usually after 8:00. That's like time where we finally got Calvin down for bed. Time me and Gina can hang out, and that's like usually our, you know, the only really hour and a half you know, that her and I usually get together. We can actually hang out and, you know, just do whatever we feel like doing.
Dude, and that's just so important.
Oh, it is,
for
man.
your wife, man. Like,
Yeah.
you're just like giving her that time, because like, you know, as you're her husband, right? That's like grinding, trying to provide like a sick life for your family. Your time is so limited. So like, if you get to the end of the night and then you again put more effort and energy towards your work instead of your wife, and you do that just over and over and over and over again, dude, now you don't even know the girl.
You're going to be like me.
Yeah.
And like me too.
Yeah. You know?
Right. Then you don't even know the girl. And it's just like a learning thing, right? Like you learn that when you like, I mean, I'm sure you did too, right? You go through that and you learn and you're like, oh fuck, well, yep, that's it right there. Yep. Right.
By the time I figured it out, it's too late.
Exact same, bro. Right there with you, man. And
So,
like, I just know that, you know, I know that's the way.
Yeah.
You know, when you get to the end of the night, man, you got yourself a good girl that's here for you, taking care of your shit, loving you. You know, you got to dedicate that time to her, because it's like a cognizant effort that means so much to her.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
That hour and a half that you're like, look, I'm putting everything aside. I'm hanging out with you, you know,
Right.
like, and she just like, they love that. Right.
Of course.
And it's such a little action, right? It's not like that takes that much, man.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
I'd much rather hang out with my girl and, you know, be on the phone anyways.
Oh,
right?
100%.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
100%. It just sometimes, man, there's just days that go by where you have just a million people wanting your attention, and it's just tough. It really is. And, you know, just finding that happy medium, really, I mean, and just kind of balance. But, you know, I mean, it's easier said than done.
Oh, yeah.
You know, for sure, man.
100%.
And so you have a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
What's
boy and girl.
what's it like with like one of each? Which one's been easier, harder? What you know? What's the
Yeah, man.
it's like
I don't know,
raising-
or he don't know what we're having.
Oh, yeah?
No,
Wow,
my
dude.
wife's due in 3 weeks.
That's
So
smart.
3 weeks.
And I've got two boys that are
Boys. Yeah, man. So
nuts.
the girl is like, I just am, she's obsessed with me. I'm obsessed with her. She's just like
Daddy's girl.
sweetest little thing, dude.
A little
ever.
princess.
And it's so funny because you start to see like, you know, when you have a little girl, it makes you look at girls differently, because you just see the girl as just a bigger little daughter of yours. You know what I
She's
mean?
somebody else's little daughter.
Hey, exactly. And you see those little things come out, you know, like in my daughter, like I had someone back into my freaking truck and messed the bumper all up. So I put a new bumper on it. They were with me. I was like sweating putting this bumper on, right? Finally got it on, and I was so happy about this bumper. I'm smacking the bumper, telling the kids like, look at this thing, man. This thing looks good, don't it? And then 3 days later, my daughter's over. She's riding her bike outside. She just walks over and just smacks the bumper. She's like, "Nice bumper, Dad." You know, like it's just like, it's like, you know, she's like, she don't care, but that's like what a girl does.
Sure.
Like she's like, you know, but with my son, you know, he's just, you know, and I went through the same thing, man. I was with my sister and my mom in the house all the time. So there's that inherent sort of battle of power that he kind of has as like a boy turning into a man, right? Because like he positions himself over the girls inherently in some regard, but he doesn't, like, he's still like responsible to them, right? Like that's his mother, like that's his main source of direction. And then like his sister, right? Like he hangs out with her all the time. So like, you know, she probably gets on his nerves a little bit. He's a great brother, like loves her to death, loves his sister, loves his mom. But you can just see those little things in him, you know, little attention, needing to be wrestled, you know, needing to be thrown around a little bit, you know, and yeah, he's probably been the toughest, but he's at the same time, he's great. You know, he's just a great kid, man. Just easy love life, you know.
You gonna get him into wrestling?
Yeah,
Hell
of
yeah.
course. Yeah. So he's, so I'm going to take it a little bit different approach. So I think
How old were you when you started?
7.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to take him on a little different approach. I'm not just going to put him on a team, you know, put him at Francis Howell Central, you know, team and let him kind of figure it out. I'm going to really focus on, you know, teaching him the moves, you know, a few different moves that are gonna, you know, that he's going to try, right? Like, and not give him just a whole Rolodex of moves that he has to practice and a bunch of drills and stuff like that. Because when I was wrestling, man, like I got burnt out on it, like at the beginning.
It's so hard,
and
dude.
it's just so hard.
It's
And
so
there's
hard.
it's so taxing on the practice and the tournament every weekend, and it's just a lot, man. Like it's just a lot. And I'm gonna take him and I'm gonna, you know, input him in for the AAU tournaments and stuff, and just have him be like an individual, right? And take him there, let him get a little experience, let him get his ass whooped a couple times, let him get how it goes, you know, how the wrestling tournament goes. And then I'll start just probably putting him in at Perler, right? Like up there,
yeah.
and just have him go once or twice a week. And I really think that that's going to give him more of a drive to be better and better and better versus, oh, fuck, another practice.
Did you go to Perler?
Yeah.
Man, I wish I would have.
Dude, it was night
like,
and day, bro.
What is that?
So Perler's like I mean, you could probably speak on it better than me because I didn't go, but I always wanted to. And it's like a camp or like a program. It's like a off-season place where people would go off-season, and like, you knew if somebody went to Perler, at least where I was like, oh man, this guy's serious and he's gonna be good, because like it was like all the people that were good did shit in the off season, and it was like notoriously tough, and you know, I mean, you could probably speak on it much better than I could.
It was great. It took my wrestling to like night and day difference on just wrestling with them. And like my mom, she actually so my mom was babysat by Nick and Tony's older sister. So there's Nick and Tony Perler are the ones who run that whole Perler thing. Nick runs the St. Louis side. Tony runs the stuff in Kansas. But my mom was babysat by them, so I just had like the connect. So I started coming to their practices and stuff. And when I was going there, man, he would hold practice like Monday night he'd have it in Columbia. Tuesday night he'd have it, and or Monday night he'd have it at like Francis South Central or somewhere. Tuesday night he'd have it in Columbia. Wednesday night he'd have it in at one of the Francis Howell. Thursday night it'd be in Granite City. So he was just like posting up at these high schools to have practice. So that's how I got started, and it was like a lot, driving around back and forth. And then he's just opened that facility up there in Moscow Mills, which is a sick facility. Like my mom's been working out there because they got a full gym and they do classes and CrossFit and stuff. So my mom's been working out there, and that's what my little brother does now. My little brother's pretty good too, man. He's a big boy.
How old is he?
He's about to be 13.
Okay.
Nice.
So he's a big boy, man. D-end.
Yeah.
Heavyweight wrestler, D-end.
Oh, yeah.
He's big, man. He just my mom's got a little money these days. When I was a kid we were poor, so that's why I was skinny.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's how they did back in the medieval times. They knew you were rich by how big you were.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Now they got a little. My mom, she was an insurance agent, so she sold her whole business, and now they've been eating out.
Nice.
Eating out a little bit.
Yeah, I can't wait to get Calvin into wrestling. It's just when the time's right. I don't want to get him in. I like you said, I don't want to burn him out just because it's like, because wrestling it's so hard. And like, I mean, I was not an in shape. Wrestling is what changed me. I always say, like, man, it's just like it changed me, and I didn't really get into it until I was in high school, and I wish I would have done it sooner, but
I just wish I would have taken it more seriously. Is my thing, because like you don't know what's gone until it's gone.
Yeah,
right?
It was the only sport I ever took seriously until I got into jiu-jitsu.
I mean, I liked it, right? I took it serious, but like I would still be like smoking weed with my buddies, right? Like I'm not just like putting it all to the side like for this, because like and then like when it's over, it's like, dude, that was so fun, it was so good. And then the thing is I coached this year. I coached at Francis South Central, and dude, it's just it's too much. It's like for a normal human being to try to manage that doesn't work at the school district. It's like, highly do not recommend to anyone, like, dude.
Coaching?
Yeah.
Well, I did it. I went in, I coached at wrestling at my high school for some bullshit. I mean, it was during the like 2020, so like height of the pandemic. I went in there, and
how political was that shit?
Bro, well, that was ultimately why I stopped, because I was coaching, and essentially I was the coach. He he basically saw me on social media and followed up with me and was like, hey man, I know you went to St. Mary's. I know you were a pretty good wrestler when you were here, and I see you're still grappling now. Like, would you ever want to come in and help coach and kind of be a we don't have a lot of guys that are in that like 170 pound weight class, and like we just had like all of our seniors graduate, so we've got like one senior on the team, and the rest of the team is like freshmen and sophomores. So I'd love for you to come in and just be a good drilling partner and help coach. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I can, I'll so I started making it in there a couple days a week, and then we had to start wearing masks while we practiced. Dude, and then
it's like suicide.
No, 100%. And then we had to go get tested once a week, and then like sure enough, every week like somebody had it, and I'm like, dude, like I can't. and then, there was a guy that had it who I was wrestling with, and they're like, oh, you should quarantine. I'm like, dude, I am not going to shut my life down because I rolled a 5-minute round with this guy, my whole, I got a business to run here. I got all these other things. I'm not just going to sit in my house for 10 days. Like, you guys can get fucked. So I didn't tell the coach that. I was just like, man, I'm sorry. I just can't. This is affecting my career. And like, I've already got, only so much time on my hands with work, and I still am trying to train jiu-jitsu as much as I can. And it's just kind of starting to interfere with that. And, as much as I'd like to continue coaching, it's just, I just can't make it work, especially with
the same thing, man.
Especially if you're going to, it was the testing and all the masks and all the stuff. I'm like, I just don't want to deal with it. So I ultimately just told him, I can't, man, not right now. And maybe someday I'll go back to it, but I just have so much more fun with jiu-jitsu, honestly, in which I think you should give that a try, because I think you would love it.
I want
awesome.
to.
He just started.
It's
last
awesome.
week was his first week.
Yeah.
I think you would love it.
I've done it quite a bit. Like when I was in Jacksonville, stationed on that ship, I would go to that Ludus MMA and roll all the time. But it's just, dude, it hurts, bro.
Yeah,
Shit hurts, and my feet. I'm just like my biggest fear right now is getting back in there, and then my feet just being destroyed. Dude, the knuckles on your toes, bro, like the blisters.
Well, that's something. Yeah, that's something that takes some getting used to, is not wearing shoes.
It's the worst. When you're starting back, dude, it's like, like.
It's so fun.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to. You guys go to Watson's?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, down in the city. I love it, man. It's been, I'm one of the coaches there. I teach 2 nights a week, so.
I've been twice, and I can't, I'm hooked.
Yeah, it's so fun.
It is, dude. It's a blast. It just,
it's
like
wrestling,
wrestling,
come out of it
but
too, just dead.
Oh yeah.
I finally got my gi. Came in.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, it's like wrestling, but it's like old man wrestling. That's why I like it. It's strategic.
It's strategic, and it's like, it can be so, it's so much, it can be a lot slower. You can slow things down.
Yeah.
And like, with wrestling, there's never like a point where you can just like chill.
Yeah.
A little bit, like with jiu-jitsu, it's like, there's there's lots of points where you can like, all right, I'm chilling. I got this guy in my guard. I don't think he's going anywhere for a second. I can catch my breath. Okay. All right. What now? And like, okay, let me think about it's very strategic. Whereas wrestling, it's just like, go, 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 you got to keep moving, got to move, got to score, got to pin, and it's like, it's just a lot more exhausting. Whereas jiu-jitsu is just a lot more relaxed. It's got like more of that like kind of chill vibe to it in some places. And, there's a lot of, it's fun. I love it, man. I can't get enough. I've been doing it for several years now, and
that's what I miss, man, is just having that grapple,
just that exhaust.
It feels so good.
Yeah, you get done with it, and
because you just like us as just dudes, right? Like we're just being nice to people all the time. We're fucking, being easy,
get
like
that anger out,
and then you just get in there, and it's just like,
you can't. After you're done with a hard, like on Saturdays, for instance, we roll. Our stand. So it's me and there's a group of us that get together. There's anywhere from 12 of us, anywhere from like 14 guys to like 6 guys show up on the Saturday mornings, and it's just all of us who are, a little bit more advanced, and we just roll hard rounds for, our standard is usually about 50 minutes. So, like this past weekend, it was like 10 5-minute rounds.
Yeah.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
And so by the end of that, dude, you're dead, and like, there's nothing else. The rest of the day seems easy compared to that. The rest of your life is just, there's nothing harder. There's nothing else I'm going to do today that's going to be harder than that. So it just kind of makes the rest of your life seem a little bit easier. And I think, and it's one of the only times that other than doing podcasting, where I, the whole world shuts off for me. Like, obviously I can't be on my phone when I got another dude on top of me trying to strangle me.
Yeah.
Like, I can't be thinking about that, Oh, I didn't respond to that email. Boom, I'm dead,
Right. That's what I want, especially for having sons, right? You bring them into that world, and you teach them grappling and wrestling and stuff like that. And then their fear of man is just so much less, because then when you're growing up, like, if you've been wrestling kids that are about your same age, and you've seen people pushing and pulling and stuff like that, like, it makes you just less fearful.
You're confident.
Yeah. You're just like, dude, this guy, like, he's not gonna do anything to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'll snap him down and spin around.
I'm gonna get behind his ass. I'm gonna get behind him, and he's not gonna be able to do anything. Because it's like, how many? There's such a small portion of the population that has experience grappling.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. And jiu-jitsu, wrestling, one of those things where you can look at somebody and like, they might not look physically like intimidating, but boy, when they grab a hold of you, you're like, oh, you know, I've been shocked numerous times by, like, you know, for example, like there's a buddy of mine is, you know, he's an electrician, and you know, he's not like out of shape by any means, but you would never look at him and be like, oh, that dude's a killer, you know. But like Matt Duffy, I know you're out there, you've strangled me thousands of times. You know, he's you know, he's been training since he was 18. Him and I are the same age. He's been training for 12 years, and so he is just an absolute animal. You know, but you know, you look at Matt, you never say like he's not like this big like hulking jack dude. You know, but boy, he grabs a hold of you, you're fucked. He's getting a hold of your neck.
It was like the first guy that I rolled with was half my size, submitted me like that.
Yeah,
I was like, shit.
Yeah.
oh man, it's so fun. But well, Wyatt, is there anything else you wanted to cover before we get you out of here?
Not really, man. I appreciate it. It's a good chat.
Yeah, for sure,
absolutely.
man. It was fun having you on.
Absolutely. We ended with one more question. We kind of hit you guys with surprise on this one. It's called the Tombstone Game. Here lies Wyatt Hayes. What's it say on your tombstone?
Wyatt Hayes, a loving and dedicated father who created a trust for his kids' and allowed them to live in abundance and peace.
There you go.
Love it. That's
There you go. Perfect.
perfect.
If I had to choose, you know, it'd put me on the spot.
No, that's good. I like that.
That's why
That
we
was a
do
good
it.
one.
That's why we do it.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was really good. All right, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit that like button under the video and comment what you guys thought below, and we will see you next time.